Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful LCA. We're in a recording marathon. This is the third episode of the day. That's why we're wearing the same clothes. It's not that we don't change or anything. It's the third episode of the day. Today we have a special guest with us, my comadre, Julie.
Hi.
Hi, hi, hi.
How are you doing
Hello.
today? You know you can't say good,
I
so how are
know.
you doing today?
I am overwhelmed and I am exhausted.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
if
Okay.
we're in the
Well,
honesty bubble, it's been a rough
good.
week.
Okay. That's what it was meant to be then. We can
Yeah.
talk about that if you like.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, how you doing, Norma? For the third time in 2 hours. How has your mood
uh,
changed in the last 30 minutes?
yeah, I think I don't look as like modorra anymore. Like my eyes aren't as puffy. I had my little shake. I have my coffee, so I think I'm more energized now. So we can do this. We can do this.
Yeah, I don't know why. Ahora yo me desperté como que cené payaso anoche or something.
Oh
Ando
my
muy
God.
mamoncito. I having to hold back. We're talking about depression and other shit, and I just want to make jokes, so I like have to dial it back, settle down. I'm like in a joking mood for some reason. But yeah, don't worry. We'll keep it professional if we have to. But I still
Oh, I
try to
need
make
that
you laugh and feel
energy. I
pretty.
like that. I
Maybe she
need
Yeah,
it.
needs
yeah.
that today. Maybe she
I
needs it.
do.
Yeah. Cool, cool then. All right. Just beware that you told me I can say whatever
Okay.
I want.
No, I'm here
Just
for it.
open up the thing.
Please.
Be
All right.
nice.
So t- today we're gonna just talk a little bit about yourself. We don't have nothing planned. It's just a conversation
Okay.
like we did last time and see where the conversation go. Just introduce yourself.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Julie. I am Steve's comadre, Steve and Sadia's comadre, and we all went to high school. So I know Normita, the dance
Yes.
folklorico. Um, I consider myself a mental health advocate. I am all about mental health and I will preach it from the top of the mountains. I'm very open and I practice gentle parenting with my kids and I talk about mental health with my kids and I'm very open about that with them. So I've been in therapy consistently for the last like 5 years since 2019. But I've been on and off since like 2013, but it hasn't been like all the time. But for the last 5 years, yes, I've been in therapy. I talk to my therapist once a week for 1 hour. And I think it's been pretty cool to just have a space for me to kind of feel validated and to just like talk to someone. And, she listens and she has been awesome. So,
Nice,
yay.
nice, nice,
We
nice.
love that.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why we chose you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No pressure. No
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 pressure.
pressure. Oh
pressure.
my
No
God.
No
pressure,
pressure
baby.
at all.
No pressure.
Um, So you said so two questions for
Yeah.
you. You said that you have been going consistently for 5 years and that but you started back in like 2013.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we ask every guest is like what happened because I correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
but I didn't grow up in a household where there is something in my fucking eye. I grew up in a household where mental health wasn't a part of the conversation. So, and I don't think Steve or nor you had that experience either. So we always ask our guests like, what was it that happened that maybe brought about that shift for you that you were like, oh, let me start in 2013, and maybe what happened 5 years ago that made you start going consistently to therapy. So two questions in one.
Yeah. So I started seeing what I would call more of like a caseworker slash counselor. I think this was 2013. I think it was during my first marriage with my oldest son's dad. We were going through some marital issues, and I think we both were still trying to kind of just navigate our relationship, our marriage, and also like being new parents. But I think what triggered it the most was that we both didn't have like the support we needed from both sets of our parents, like his parents, my parents. Um, and I think this was because my oldest was in like a child development like program, and his preschool teacher, you know, noticed that my son was having some behavioral issues in school at preschool, and reached out and was like, hey, you know, if you need help with counseling, there's resources, reach out. And so she was the one that kind of was like, hey, like, I'm noticing something is going on with your son. I'm noticing a lot of tantrums, a lot of, you know, he's kind of just dissociating. He's not really wanting to engage. Like, is there anything going on at home? And so I reached out to, I'm pretty sure it's Star Vista. They're awesome. I think they're in San Mateo County, but so they have like family counseling. And so we started to have like a caseworker. She started coming over, and she started kind of helping me and kind of just being like almost like a support for me, like in terms of like parenting. And you know, but she was also very like supportive and was like, hey, you know, you should reach out, you should consider therapy, like, you know, there's a lot of things that I'm noticing that, you know, maybe stem from your childhood, from your upbringing. I sense a lot of shame and a lot of guilt, like I wonder where that's coming from. And so that's kind of where it all started. And so then after, when I went through a divorce with my oldest son's dad, and I found myself in another like very toxic relationship, I started noticing, you know, just I was depressed. I wasn't doing the things that I used to do. Like I just didn't feel motivated to do anything. And so I remember asking, I think I called like, you know, Health Plan of San Mateo or something, and they connected me with a counselor, and she started coming over. And at that point I was already pregnant with my second son. And that's kind of where I started kind of understanding like, whoa, there's like a lot going on here. Like there's a lot that I need to like dig deep. And she helped. She was great. She was awesome, but I was like a temporary thing. So it didn't last very long. And so then after, you know, I started getting into my whole fitness journey, and I, you know, lost all this like postpartum weight, and I just like felt good. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. Like I don't need therapy. Like everything's great. And I think this was 2019. I was having some really strong, like, you know, marital issues with my second, you know, spouse. And that's when I found myself just being like very, very depressed. Like I was stressed out. I didn't want to eat. I was overwhelmed. It was just not a good time. It was really, really bad. And so that's when I started seeing my current therapist. This was pre-COVID, so I could still see her, you know, in her office. And I think the fact that she was almost like a mother figure that maybe I would have hoped for, like growing up. Like something about her, you know, kind of just validating me and just kind of like, hey, like what you went through and what you're going through is not normal. Like, you know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask, you know, for resources. And so I've been seeing her for 5 years now, and, you know, she's almost been like, I know it's like cliche, but like she's been like my friend, you know, like it's someone I could kind of talk to. And I feel like it has helped in terms of like, you know, if I ever want to reach out to like family or friends, like I get it. Everyone kind of has their own things going on, but she's kind of been like, hey, like you can come to me. Like anything you have going on in terms of like motherhood or like relationship issues or just any like personal things you're going through, like I'm here, and this is what I'm, you know, I'm here to help you. So, but it's been tough. I'm not going to lie. It's been a lot. Like, it's like a roller coaster of emotions. Like, it's like one week I'm great. Another week I'm like really shitty. Another week I'm like, yay, like I've conquered this issue. And then the next week I'm like, well, I'm back to square one. Let's just start all over again. So it's been a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is definitely not easy. That's why I think we're so brave, right, to actually deal with it in the proper way and try not to catch any vices or anything like that, because it is easier to just go that route and take the easy way out, in a way. It's harder to actually face your shit and deal with it and learn and try to grow from it, like we were talking about last time. I think when you came over, Norma, that we were like, oh, 5 years ago I thought I had shit all figured out, and now I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. And then we all said, yeah, and imagine 5 years from now you're gonna be like, oh, you thought you had all shit figured out now, and like you have no idea, but I think that's what makes it beautiful, right? Like the process of always learning and growing and changing and becoming a better person from the shit. But yeah, it sounds like it wasn't easy for you. you know
Like it
No.
hasn't been easy
yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that is one of the things that we were talking about in our earlier episode about depression, right? Of how um, healing isn't linear,
Mm-mm.
right?
Hmm.
So then many people think that, like, okay, once I start this like healing journey, like I'm gonna go up and it'll just get better from here, and it doesn't happen that way. It really doesn't. Like it's really a roller coaster where you're feel like you're on top of the world and then you're not, and you're kind of in the middle, and then you go really really down, and then you're like up here. So part of the journey is really embracing that, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
understanding that I'm not always going to be okay, but I know even if I'm feeling shitty, that this and anything, whether you're up here or down here, it is not permanent. It is
Mm-mm.
temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is temporary. So yeah.
And I think, I mean, I know I've expressed this to both of you guys, my comadre, and even my therapist. Like, she is well aware of our little Instagram group chat. But
Hmm.
I think in the last like month or two, like I've noticed such a difference in my mental health because of that group.
Oh,
Um,
Hmm.
oh, I love that. Thank you. I just got
because it
goosebumps.
gives me a space to just like, I don't want to say vent because I don't think that's the right word, but just like, I know if I'm having a good day or if I'm having a bad day, like someone's there to listen.
Hmm.
Because being a single mom is like, it's a very lonely, lonely, lonely world. Like, I get up, get my kids ready for school, go to the gym, kind of focus on myself, give myself some time, and then pick them up, go to work, and it's just like I'm like on a what do you call it? Like a hamster wheel, right?
Mhm,
Every day, it's the same thing.
mhm,
Um,
Hmm.
which is why I look forward to my therapy sessions because it's like, oh, cool, like it's my one place to kind of debrief and just talk. Um, but I think more than anything, having that sense of community has been really, really helpful because it makes you feel not so alone.
mhm,
And I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people lack these days is just like that sense of community. And it makes you feel like, hey, like I could tell these people they care about me. Like I'm not alone, which is another big thing, right? Like I think loneliness is it's a tough place to be in, right? When you feel like no one cares or no one's there. And
mhm,
you guys are miles away, right? Like you guys are so far. And it's
Hmm.
not like I could just go up and knock on your door and just like get a hug, but like having somebody there to kind of just like share all of these experiences, and we have like been able to bond through that because I feel like we're the same person in a different body. Like we've gone through the same stuff. We yearn for the same stuff. We fear the same stuff, but like it's that sense of like community that I could relate to you, you can relate to me, and I don't
Hmm.
feel alone,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I think this is exactly why we're doing this, right? Of building that sense of community is so important to Steve and I, because you're right. Like a lot of us don't have somebody like here right next to us to be like, fuck, like this is kind of what I'm going through, right? Like for me in my divorce, like nobody really in my family has gotten a divorce. Everybody has like stuck it through. So not having that same shared experience can definitely be isolating. So um, for you to say like, yeah, this is this has been really helpful. Um, it it gives me, at least for me, like that drive, that motivation, like, okay, let me keep doing this. Like we should
Mm-hmm.
continue to do what we're doing. So thank you, thank you so much.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah, I
welcome.
really,
Thank you.
yeah, I really feel the same way. I think it's the way that you feel is what it done is done for both of us as well. Of finding that, because it was just instantly we started, like me and Norma started talking because it was the same shit, right? Like I can understand somebody can understand
Mm-hmm.
me. There's another person besides my wife that I can talk to. It's like, oh shit, that's cool, you know. So
Mhm.
finding like the same thing, having that safe space where you feel like, I to me it's almost like having a place where I can be myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing, it just feels like I am myself. I don't have to fucking pretend or not be who I truly am, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with the rest of the world or however I do that shit. But now having a place where I can be myself and I can talk about this shit that is bothering me, and what is, like you said, in happiness and fucking sadness and anxiety or whatever the fuck might be the reason, I can just be my authentic self in that place. So it's really been good, because like yeah, the same thing you said. I feel like I have other people too now. It's not just a few people. Like there's more people now that I feel like I feel comfortable reaching out to and talking to and just venting or asking for opinions or advice or whatever it might be. Which I think that's the goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the goal,
I
to
think
have
we
that.
shared a meme not that long ago, or maybe it was a video about when you find like your people, it's like you guys all speak the same language,
Hmm.
because it's really tough to talk to people about things that you're struggling with when one, they can't relate, or they just don't understand,
Mhm.
or maybe they just don't believe in, mental health, or in any of these like disorders, or anything that like neurologically does happen, in your brain. Like, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she, very religious, and I love her to death. And there's so many things I could tell her, but then there's other things that I'm like, I know that if I tell her this, it's not really gonna do anything. It's like, pídele a Dios, like ve a la iglesia, like pídele a Dios, then everything's gonna be fine. And it's like, but it's not. Like,
Right
I don't.
now.
Like, I don't even need you to tell me that right now. Just tell me that, like, that you're here for me, and that it's tough. It's like, and I think that's a part of motherhood that, like, I'm trying to kind of break that cycle of like shame, right? Or almost like that, you're a mom, so your kids come first, like. And she said something along the lines of like, well, your kids need you, and like you need to, put your habits to the side. And I'm like, what habits? And she's like, well, you're always at the gym. And I'm like, but I need that though. Like, it's not like I'm being selfish. Like, I need that. Like, I need to be good so that my kids are good. Because if I'm not good, they're not good. Like, if I'm happy, if happy mom, happy kids, like but it's tough, right? Like, they grew up in a different generation. They grew up, just very differently. And I think the fact that we've all kind of been that cycle breaker in our family, it's, like you
Mhm.
said, very isolating, because, in terms of tradition and culture, like, you are breaking that, you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
that's bad. And family comes first, and it's tough. And I've had to advocate for years now, and it's tough and it's draining, but I mean, it's worth it. And I think my kids are kind of, seeing all those benefits of me kind of advocating for myself and for them. And, you know, I have you guys. I have, my little community, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, and I think like it fills my heart to like see when y'all share the stories and the in the chat. Like I'm really bad at, and maybe I should use this as a disclaimer. Um, I don't text very well. I'm sure y'all have seen it. Um, so I don't text very well. Um, but it is very, very fulfilling to read your stories, your little anecdotes when it comes to, like, I was talking to my kids and I was letting them know this and they thank me for this. And or when they validate like your feelings as a mom, and I'm like, oh my God, like to I don't have any children, but um to live vicariously through y'all of like, oh my God, like these people are really making a difference in the world because like you're mentioning, we are cycle breakers, but you are already passing it over to another generation. I don't have that privilege, right? So to see that, to witness you doing that with your kids, I'm like, oh, that is so yummy to me when I read those stories. So keep sharing it, even if I don't necessarily reply with like long messages. I do appreciate them. I value those stories a lot. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, you're welcome. I want to say that you're tripping in that aspect because
And
you help me and I help them.
what
So you are influencing the girls in a way. You get me? You're helping me heal with the conversations that we have and all that shit. That helps me be a better father. That helps them. So you are part of the group. You're important. You're part of the village. You're part of the thing. You're helping them heal because you help me and the interactions you had with them. Like, so you do have an impact even though they're not directly your kids because you help us and
thank
we
you.
help each other out. So you are affecting them and you are making a change in the next generation even though they're not your kids,
I
right?
appreciate that. I do. I really,
Yeah,
really do.
yeah, yeah.
and I'm sorry for bombarding our group chat. I'm the other spectrum of that, where I maybe overshare, over message out.
No,
That's it.
but yeah, that's what it is for. Is like we're all different. Just do
Yeah,
it how you want
that
to.
is what you need. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Norma
And that
doesn't. Norma doesn't text, but she'll show up to your house.
I will. I will show
That's,
up.
yeah, that's her
Unannounced, like,
way of
hey, I'm
doing
here. Sorry I didn't reply back.
Not unannounced, not unannounced. I
it.
well, because I hate it when like a lot of people would do that with my parents. Like we would be like on our way out, and like some
Yeah.
person would just come about, and now we can't go because
Yeah.
this person's here. We have to cater to them. So no, I won't do it unannounced. But I will plan trips to places. And I'm gonna be there this weekend in South City. So if you want to meet up, let me know and I will show up to your house. Uh, and and this part of like being a community, right? Of um when the way that I like show up, it can be with texting. I fucking suck at it. I really, really do. But if you want to do a phone call, if you want to do a video call, if you want to do like let's go for lunch, let's just spend like a day together. That is a better way for me to do it.
Yeah. Says
Noted.
nothing. You don't care. But yeah.
um
Yeah,
okay,
but
go ahead. Go
I
ahead,
was gonna
Caesar.
say, but yeah, don't feel bad about sharing shit.
Yeah,
And then
don't feel
sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't seen anything yet. Let me go say something. Nothing's happening. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Shit like that. But no, but that's the whole point, right? Just be yourself. And we
yeah.
Yeah.
understand that shit. Like I know both of you, so I don't judge either of you for you say sharing too much and one of them for not sharing. It's just we just communicate and shit works differently for each of us. So don't feel bad about wanting to be like, oh, I'm talking too much. I shouldn't do that shit. Like, nah, like that's the way you function. That's the way it works for you. So we'll show up for you in the way that you need us to be there, and
Hmm.
just like her be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not too much in this space.
Hmm.
You can show up as your authentic
Yeah.
self.
I know.
Hmm.
And I feel comfortable sharing stuff like that because I feel like, in terms of if it has to do with my kids, like I know, Celia or you, Steve, will, relate in terms of, relationship stuff or anything else. Like there's someone that has gone through the same thing,
Mhm.
that is struggling with the same thing. Like I feel like, me and Norma, like I've bonded with you in such a you don't know this, but I'm like, oh my God, like in terms of like our attachment styles, like I'm like, that's me. Like that's literally me, you know. And she gets me, like she understands, and I know what that feels like. And so I feel
Mhm.
like your journey, I'm almost like vicariously living through you. Like I'm healing with you because I'm like, that's
Mm.
literally what I'm working on right now. And I'm, you know, I've come such a long way. Like, you know, like Steve said, like from 5 years ago, like I know right now maybe today's a tough day, but like 5 years ago, I wish to be where I am now. Like
Mhm.
I yearned, I prayed to be here, and I'm here
Mhm.
now. And I know it sucks, but like, hey, we're up like 5 steps. Let's keep going. Um, but I don't know. I think talking to you guys and just having somewhere to go has made it a lot easier to manage. And I know like parenting never gets easier, life doesn't get easier, but I think in terms of like therapy and mental health, like it gives you the tools, and I'm able to kind of like deal with things in a much better way. I'm able to like, you know, regulate my emotions better. Like, you know, I can relate to you, Steve, in terms of like, I know sometimes like I don't have the patience, or maybe I don't have like the emotional like capacity to just like deal with my kids, and I'm overwhelmed. And, you know, there's times where I'm like, man, like I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. But like, I'm trying, right? And I've come
Mhm.
such a long way. And I was talking to my partner the other day where I was like venting to him about like just like parenting and, you know, my kids and that. And he said, you know, it's a gift and a curse because you're so good at your job and you're doing such a good job that your kids are so comfortable like being vulnerable with you and opening up to you and expressing themselves with you, that I know it's tough sometimes to hear, and it's maybe hurtful and maybe it's frustrating, but like that's beautiful. Like that your kids can come to you and they feel safe, you know,
Mhm.
with you. That it's like, man, like you're doing such a good job. Like, you know, other kids would just, they wouldn't even like, they wouldn't even bother. It just wouldn't even like, in their head, it wouldn't even be a thing, right? Like, I'm going to go to my mom and like maybe vent to her or maybe complain to her about something, but you have nurtured them in a way that they just feel like, hey, it's my mom, like I could go to her, this is normal.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that growing up.
Mhm.
So giving them that voice and that opportunity to me has been like the biggest like mom flex, you know,
Yeah.
so that when they grow up they could advocate for themselves,
Yes.
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good
Absolutely.
one.
If your kids have a safe space where they can um like show up authentically, be themselves, have those tantrums and know that I don't I don't fear having these tantrums. I don't fear speaking up. I really don't hold back with my mom. I'm sure as a mom is a lot to like I have no fucking idea what I mean what that's like of like holy shit, like I have all these kids here being their authentic selves where maybe I have this much capacity, so it is going to be it's hard being an active parent. Being a good parent is a very difficult job. it's
Yeah.
way it will be way easier to be like, go to your room, shut the fuck up, and I don't want to hear you. And that's way easier because that means I don't got to deal with it. Now I
Yeah.
can cook in peace and everything's nice and dandy. But the damage long term that we are having on those kids, it's a lot, right? So then when you actually take the time to validate, to hold space, to teach, to discipline, all of those things, that is some hard fucking work. So I vow to you both because I don't know. I don't know if I could.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. Because something that I pay attention to more lately, it is like it's really hard. Um Something that I need to work on and that is on my mind is how different I parent both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Mm.
need to treat Mia like I treat Aaliyah, and I forget that shit because she's the oldest. So Mia gets the pressure, the thing you understand. You're older. Come on, don't do this, don't do that. Try this, that. For example, 100%, I signed up Aaliyah for jiu-jitsu, and there's no expectation with Aaliyah because in my mind she's younger, so then she's little. but Mia's still fucking little, and I put a lot of expectations on Mia to be like, oh, do this, try that, that. This is what it's good for. This is the shit. Do this, boom. So then I'm just like, oh shit, you gotta like remember she's still little. She's older compared to Aaliyah, but she's still little, and she still needs you to treat her like a little girl. You can't just be putting all this
Mhm.
expectations on the shit, from that stuff. So that's something that I'm working on, and it feels good. I mean, I can see the difference between both of them. I can see how much more outspoken and how sure of herself and everything Aaliyah is, versus Mia. But that has some shit that I probably will have to work on, for a long time with Mia, because like I said, I don't know idea what the fuck I was doing, and I did a lot of shit, and like it's still trying to work and fix that shit and fix that relationship and show up for her in the same way. It's something that I've been on and like thinking about lately and shit, and not being so tough on her because you're the oldest and the expectation is for you to understand, which I've been aware of that for forever. That's something I tell other people. Oh, you're just mad at her because you have a higher expectation for her just by comparison, but she's still a
Mhm.
child. So by comparison, you treat one of them different than the other one, but they're still kids, and it shouldn't do that. And like I'm guilty of the same shit. So I'm just like, okay, dial it back. Same thing. No expectations. Just give her the love. Give her the same thing. Treat her the same way you treat Aaliyah. She doesn't need all this expectations and all this hard shit that you put on her just because she's older. For example, there there could be fucking fighting, and I instantly tell Mia to stop. I don't even hesitate to think that Aaliyah might be doing something. My
Mhm.
thing goes to tell Mia to stop. Like if I can hear it right now and they were home and something happened, I'd just be like, Mia, and I will tell her and I will get on her to stop. But not I don't have that same communication. I don't have the expectation with Aaliyah because I just think, oh, they're fighting. Mia should know better because she's older. I should
She's
tell her to
older.
do that. And then I don't put that. I don't put any of that thing on Aaliyah, which that's how we as parents create the fucking the difference in personalities, and we create those fucking issues within the kids based on the age and how they were born, right? Like that's why the youngest one is always more entitled, has more fucking freedoms, does this shit and all,
Mhm.
and the other one struggles and is fucking trying to be the once again like me and you try to fucking lead the fucking house and you're trying to set the example and you put all this fucking pressures on yourself because that's what the fuck they did to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
that's exactly what I was gonna
very
gonna
aware.
say. Like with kids, they're like our mirrors. I was
Mhm.
again, I'm not a parent, but I was at Steve's 2 weeks ago, I think
Yeah.
it was. And I didn't share this with you, Steve, but I did share with Celia on my way to the airport. I'm like, this weekend was like very insightful for me because I found myself connecting with Aaliyah a lot, which tells me like, okay, my 4 year old is good. She Gucci. We've worked on her, so I can love her fully. But with Mia, like there were some things where I'm like, she triggered this shit, or not she. I was triggered by her by some behavior, and I'm like, ooh, that's where my wounds are at right now. That's where I'm at in my healing in terms of like inner child work. I need to pay attention to my 7 year old because there was some shit that she would be doing, like I don't know, like splashing some water in, and now one like inside of me, I'm like raging, be like, stop fucking splashing. But that's some shit that I would be told, right? Of like, you're not supposed to do this, like, no te ensucies las rodillas, this and that. So then I'm wondering for you if that relationship that you have with her is because she's your firstborn and you are also a firstborn, right?
Yeah.
So paying attention to what it is that she's literally showing you, like, hey, these are the things I used to do. Julie, you're like,
No, I just
something's
literally,
happening for
yeah.
you as I said that. I'm like, oh. So I'm wondering what just happened in your head.
I'm so my oldest is my mirror, my 12-year-old, because I think in terms of when my childhood like ended, I'm healing through him because when I remember, I think it was maybe like 10, when I was 10, when I started noticing a shift. There was a change in behavior from my parents. Like there was expectations, Steve. You're the oldest. You have to take care of your siblings. You are no longer a child. We will not treat you like a child. You are expected to be an adult. The third parent. I was a highly parentified parent.
Mhm.
Um, and so that part of me is still angry. And whenever my son now that he is 12 and he has expressed all these things, right? About, how I don't like babysitting my brother, but also the part of him that is like, he's very emotional. He's my little emotional child, and he needs a lot of talking, a lot of validation, a lot of time. And a lot of times I am triggered because I'm like, there are times where I'm like exhausted and he's like emotional or upset. And I'm like, what's wrong now? Like, oh my God, like, what is it? But what you just said, like, makes so much sense because that is a part of me that is triggered because growing up,
You didn't.
I wasn't allowed to be emotional. Like, why are you mad? You don't have a reason to be mad. You suck it up, move on. We don't have time for this. And so anytime my son does have those moments, and he is very vocal, like he is 12 years old, but he acts like he's like an adult. Like he will call me out on my shit all the time. I don't like your tone of voice, mom. You made me feel very upset. Like you made me feel like you didn't care. The way that you said that was not very nice. You made me feel like, you're angry. It just like calls me out of my shit all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time for this morning. But it's like, I need it because it has helped me become a better parent. Like, if this in the morning, for example, we were in the car and they were both bickering back and forth. And I'm like, shut up. And he was like, oh, I could tell we're going to have a bad morning, huh? And I'm like, I'm sorry. That was not nice. That was uncalled for. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I am sorry. That was not okay. Like, he called me out of my shit, right? And he's like, hey, look, it's okay, mom. Like, we all get overwhelmed. It's going to be okay. Just take a deep breath. He's literally like, he's mimicking the things that I've done for him back to me, which is so sweet. Like, I don't know if that ever happens to you, Steve, but it's like, when I'm going through something and I'm not able to like regulate my emotions, or I'm like just not in a good mental space, like they have, it's just awesome in terms of like regulating with me because I've done that with them. And it's almost like, oh my God, like it's a blessing and a curse. Again, I've done such a great job, but also like, fuck, why are you calling me out of my shit right now? Like, so it is. I think that's what it is. It's 100% that, because my little one, the 7-year-old, he is my child, like my happy butterflies and rainbows, super active, super bubbly, super social. He was me before I was parentified. He's my free spirit. He's my active, creative, funny, just super social, and like wants to be out and about all the time. And Levy is like, when all that kind of just,
Yeah.
so it's triggering, but thank you for calling me out on that. Because it's true.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for me, it's Aliyah that does that.
Yeah.
Aliyah is the one that does it for me. Hey, something happens, I get mad at Mia. Aliyah comes back. Hey, daddy, that wasn't nice. Why are you yelling at my sister for? She literally would come, doesn't give a fuck. I'm telling you, I feel like I said, I think I will forever feel like I need to work on Mia so much more because of the shit that I did when I was like that. But she's the complete opposite because she got a different version of me and a different version of Celia where she's like, oh, this is not okay, daddy. That's not okay. Why are you yelling at that? This and that. And then comes and tells me all the time. And I'm like, shit. She's the one that tells me that then it's like, fuck, you know what? Like, and I can't be mad at her, right? Because she's fucking little. And for her to tell me this shit, I don't even get defensive. So I'm like, fuck, you're right. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't do this shit. Then I go talk to Mia or do whatever the fuck and be like, or even if it's Celia or even for herself, like she'll feel bad and walk away and then come back and tell me like, hey, that wasn't nice. Like, why are you doing that? Like, it's not okay for you to do that. And I'm like, fuck, okay. Then I go and I do this shit. Yeah, I will feel like I think I will work at it a lot and I have to a lot of shit to adjust with Celia. But that's a testament how much we care.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the fact that it's a struggle and the fact that I feel some kind of fucking guilt and I'm like, I should have done this, I should have said that. Then it's like, okay, well, that means how much I care because I never even that I didn't get that shit. I didn't get no thing, you know. And one thing I always do for sure is like I apologize to her all the time. Like
Mhm.
a couple days ago, like I don't know what the fuck it was that I just got mad. And then later on, I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. It wasn't your fault. It's never your fault. I was overwhelmed. I needed to do all this shit, and you know, it's not something that you did. It's completely on me. There's nothing that you ever do that deserves for you to get yelled at and for you to get for me to get mad, this mad at you. You know, it's some shit I gotta work on. It's like, oh, it's okay, it's okay, and the shit, you know. So, I guess, yeah. I mean, just like everything else, it'll be a work, some shit I gotta do for the rest of my life. Where you paying attention to what to do and all that stuff. But I really do believe as long as I keep on apologizing to her and she understands that there's no intention and that I have a lot of shit. And I'm starting to open up a little bit more to her about maybe why I am the way I am and why I'm struggling with shit at times. Like I'm starting to tell her little by little to be like, it's not just me being an asshole. Like this is shit that happened growing up or all those things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is hard because also I'm developing new skills and like I tell her I don't know how to be your dad. I'm learning with you how to be a good
Mhm.
dad and shit like that, you know? Because last time I was like, it's like I was so fucking mad. I don't know even know why. And I was like, I told Sally, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, I just want to beat the shit out of him already. Like I used to fucking get my ass whooped. Like, you know what this, like the fact that this fucking belt and this hanger and all this shit means nothing to you. And like this, I don't know, like, I don't know what the fuck it was one time that I don't know, one of them replied and said something. It might have been Mia. And I was just like, what the fuck? And I caught myself being so pissed off. And I just like kind of like made like just held it in. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, you have no idea. Like if I would have done that shit, I would have got my ass fucking whooped for fucking doing or just responding that way or saying those kind of things. So
Yeah.
it is hard when you're trying. If it was easy, get the fuck out of here, go to your room, like you
Yeah.
said, just beat you or just put you in timeout and I'll see you in a couple of hours or whatever, then that's easy, but it's hard to try to do that. Which I still at the same time I give myself a lot of props because I'm so much better now than before.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mhm.
so much better. Like I don't think I haven't hit them in so long already, or like spanking them or hitting them or shit like that, or just the reaction, fucking flicking the fucking head or something like that, that I used to do before. You know that hasn't happened in so long that I'm like, Mia's like that. Mia reminds me, and I was like, hey, at least I don't hit you anymore. I'm sorry I yelled at you and I'm working on it, but I don't hit you anymore. Remember that was those times and shit like that. And she was like, yeah, I know, and the shit, you know. But it's hard. It's definitely hard.
It is.
So
I
every
mean,
once in a
I
while,
don't
it's like
know.
fuck them kids.
Okay. That's why I don't have any. That's why I don't have any because I'm like, you're a brave people for having children. Like that's one of the probably the hardest job of them all.
Mhm.
So I'm not that brave yet.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Which we already talked about would make you the perfect parent candidate. The fact that you're
Yeah.
so thought out, the fact that you're so thought out is the reason why. Because I'm pretty sure me and Julie got kids when we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Oh,
I
I
mean, we knew how to make them, but we didn't know what the fuck to do afterwards. You know, that was it.
Nice.
and I
That
think
was it.
that's the sad part of like just like being parents in general is like you were not given anything,
Mhm.
any tools, nothing. Like maybe you'll have a parent class on like, labor and delivery and like how to care for a newborn, but like nobody talks about raising kids. But not only that, but like how hard it is to regulate your emotions alongside another human
Yeah.
while also regulating their emotions. And there are days where I'm like, I think what has helped me the most though is like being super vulnerable with my kids and just being real with them.
Mm.
But I also don't want to scare them because I know Levy, like my oldest, he's like, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to get married. And I'm like, look, no pressure, buddy. Like, it's tough out here. Like, it's hard. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be married. You don't have to have kids. Like, I totally understand that. Like, I don't want you to think it's like the shittiest job. It's very fulfilling, and I think it's one of the hardest, but also one of the like the best jobs you could have is like you get such fulfillment and love from these two little humans that like look up to you. But if I was given the tools, or even not even the tools, but just like support, if I was okay, then it would have been so much easier. So I tell them like, look, you already have like you're so much ahead, than
Mhm.
where I was. So if you ever
Mhm.
do have kids, like you're coming in with all of these tools and all of this wisdom and all of this knowledge on like just being a human that if you ever do have kids, like you're gonna be fine. Which is I
Yeah.
think what Steve is trying to tell you. Like you already have like so much knowledge and understanding of like just, you know,
Mhm.
life and just humans that, you know,
Yeah.
I think it would be great.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Te
I would think I
regalo
would.
uno.
Yeah. No, because I was gonna say what I was also thinking if I was to have that conversation with Mia, my thing would be like, yeah, but don't look at me. Like I'm trying to fix the shit of that. What me and you or what you have experienced a little bit with me and my shit and seen with like generations before and extra shit, that's not normal. I'm trying to give you a normal life. So like experience that with other shit. I know it seems daunting or scary because we're dealing with shit that it wasn't fucking normal, and I'm putting all this fucking work and I'm doing all this shit to try to be as normal as possible for you to have a healthy relationship with yourself and with the fucking world. I might not fully do it for you, but like you said, you're gonna be much better off going forward from
Mhm,
the shit. So don't think that the marriage or the fucking parenting is gonna look the same that it did
mhm,
from your grandparents to me, then from me to you, and from you to your kids. Like the point is to have some of that growth, so it wouldn't be the same. There's nothing for you to be scared of because we're both working hard to give ourselves the tools to be a better thing.
yeah.
But yeah, like I told you on that other shit, it's amazing to me how the people that put so much thought into parenting are the ones that don't want to have kids. That's crazy. Like every single person that I think about, like not that talks to me or that says I don't want to have kids, and it's like, well, why? And then it's like, okay, but that's the fucking reason why you should be a parent. That's exactly why, because you put so much effort and so much thought and so concerned about it that like that will make you a great fucking parent just for that.
And but that's why my mom tells me that she's like, because I'm like, oh my god, mom, like I don't know, like being a mom, like being a parent, I don't know. And she's like, the more you think about it, the less you're gonna do it,
mhm,
because
Hmm.
then you're thinking about everything and that it entails, that you're gonna be like, that's a lot. She's like, do you think I thought like what it was to have kids, what it was like? She's like, no, if I would have thought, I wouldn't have had five fucking kids. Like would not have five kids. So so it makes sense why the more we think about it, it's like, oh my god, that's a big ass responsibility. I don't know that I want to have that, honestly.
mhm.
Because I also enjoy my freedom. But anyway, one question that I wanted to ask, Yuli, with your journey in terms of mental health therapy, um,
You
what
see how
would
she
you?
deflected? Good job in the
Oh
deflection.
my god, I'm
Go
not
ahead.
deflecting, but this isn't my episode.
You're
This
like,
is
I'm
Yuli's
trying to be
episode,
Yeah,
professional.
just
not
change the subject.
mine.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your question. Ask your question.
Jesus, trying to be mindful of time and give Yuli her space.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Um, from therapy, what would you say have been the tools? Because you've been saying like, yeah, tools. What are some of the tools that you have now that you didn't have prior to starting your mental health journey, that you say that you think are like super have been super important in during your healing?
Um, well, I think fitness has been one of my tools because it's given me a space to kind of just focus on myself. It's kind of my 1 hour to myself. I think I go to the gym and I like zone out, but it helps, right? It helps to stay active. It gives me sense of purpose. So let's say I wake up and I feel really shitty and I just don't feel like life is going great and I have one thing to look forward to, which is going to the gym. I'm
Mhm.
going to go to the gym and this is one thing, right? It's going to get me out of bed. It's going to get me ready and just let's go on with the day. And after the gym, I mean, I want to say I don't think I've ever had a gym session where I don't leave feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
Just maybe have a clear mind, maybe feel a little bit more optimistic of whatever it is that I'm going through. That, but another tool that my therapist told me is like she calls it the power of the pause. So like I am a very impulsive person. I have found it really hard to like control and manage my emotions. So I think in terms of power in the pause is like instead of sending a really long like maybe inappropriate unnecessary text to someone, or just like spiraling or going down like just a negative thought like rabbit hole, like I've just been able to just like, hey, pause, let's fact check, right? I know you're having all these negative thoughts in your head right now, but what is the probability that all of those negative thoughts that you are spiraling about right now, what's the probability that they're really going to happen, right? Let's like process, like instead of what's the word, catastrophizing, like when you like,
Catastrophizing.
yeah, that's another one. Grounding, of course, that's another one. Like when I feel like I'm like about to have like a panic attack, or like I'm starting noticing my breathing is just getting really like heavy and like fast. She's given me grounding techniques, breathing. I'd like to do the five senses. What can I smell? What can I see? What can I touch? That what is another one? Anytime that I am going through something, she's given me like this. She goes, let's dedicate 5 minutes to whatever problems you have going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, financial, emotional, relationship, anything, work related. I'm gonna put the timer on. I'm gonna give myself 5 minutes to think about whatever it is that I'm worried or stressed about. Cool. When that timer goes off, if there is nothing in my power or control at that specific moment that I could tackle or handle, I'm done. We're going to move on. Tomorrow, maybe we'll dedicate another 5 minutes, but I would go into this like negative thought spiral of just thinking about it, right? Things that are out of my control, things that I can't control, things that I can't do anything about, right? So why am I going to invest that kind of energy into just thinking about it all day and letting it ruin my day when there's nothing I could do about it? I've dedicated 5 minutes. It's time to push that to the side. What's next on the schedule? Like, what else can I do today? Because I think when you don't have those tools and you just don't even know how to process whatever it is that you're going through, like, you think el mundo se te cae, right? In the moment. I know it sounds very like, I don't want to say dramatic, but that's how it feels. You feel like your world is crumbling and you don't know how to fucking get out of that hole. And I think that's probably what's helped me the most. It's like, all right, cool. Like I've dedicated 5 minutes. Maybe it'll be my 5 minute drive to the gym. All right, fuck, this sucks. Let's cry it out. We got to cry. Okay, I'm worried. I'm stressed. What am I going to do? All right, cool. I've dedicated 5 minutes. We're at the gym. I'm going to maybe push that to the side for now. Tomorrow, I'll give it another 5 minutes and we'll think about it and we'll make a game plan and I'll write things down. But if it's something that I can't control, that it's not in my power, like, I'm not going to stress about it because I can't, right? Like, I just, it's draining. But another tool is, reaching out. I think I have a really hard time reaching out, and it's hard for me because I grew up feeling like I was a burden, like no one has time for me, nobody cares. So I don't want to reach out to people because I don't want to bother them. I don't want to burden them. I don't want to feel weak or feel like I can't do this on my own because I have to, right? But I think that's been the biggest thing that I've learned is like, it's okay to ask for help. Mm-hmm. And even if that person that you're asking for help says no, it's okay. I tried and I did it, right? Nada pierdo con preguntar. So yeah, it's hard for people to ask for help, and I get it because I've been there, but
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to ask for help.
Yeah,
Please
definitely.
do. Please ask.
Which is why I send those long essay paragraphs in our chat because I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed anymore, you guys.
Nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you know, Celia feels the same way. I put her on the spot every time I go to South City. I was like, "Why are you not talking to Julie?" Well, I don't want to
Yes,
burden. I don't want
she
to
never
burden. I don't want to
texts
burden.
me, and I
But it's
always feel
because she.
so
I swear to,
bad.
if I, you know what, I'm gonna bypass her, and I don't remember. I don't know if I have
Yes,
your number or not, but
please.
I'm gonna fucking do it because I'm like, why is this she fucking text Julie on this shit? But she has the same belief as you. She doesn't want to burden people. She thinks the shit like she'll be there for you when you reach out, but it's hard for her to actually do the same thing back. And I already
Which
told her
is
that
why I'll
shit.
reach out to her sometimes. If I don't hear from her in a couple days, I'm like, hey, how are you?
Yeah,
I'm
but she has
here.
the same. It's the same thing that you said of like, oh, I don't want to be a burden or the shit. Or this is the same thing. Can I share one thing out of all the tools that you were talking about? One thing that that Pablo, my mentor, my friend, told me a long ass time ago
Mm-hmm.
that it's the same shit. And but one thing that we talked about, he put it in a different way. Is
Yeah.
whenever you're frustrated about the shit of you trying to change somebody, you're changing them for you. You're not changing it for them. So whenever you can't handle a situation, you're wishing that shit would be better, that shit that would be, so this person should behave like this situation should be like this, then ask yourself, why why do I need that? Because I don't want the change to come for the situation or for the person. There's something that I need to change, that I want them to change for something that change will create for me. So what is the attachment that you have there that you want things to be in a specific way? And then you look within yourself and be like, okay, this is the reason why. Like one thing that we did with Norma, we were talking on the phone one time, is I was talking about like me wanting to change people and help each other out and do this stuff and everything. And we worked it out. And it was like, oh, because I've been through so much fucking pain that I have an ability to handle pain in other people and seeing that. So I want you to feel better because I can't handle seeing you in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about you per se. It's about my inability to deal with the fucking pain that I push change so abruptly and so quickly and so pushy in people and shit like that, you know? So then asking yourself, like, according to him, and I still been yet to be proven wrong until, like, I always have to think about it, but it doesn't, that makes complete sense. Every time you want change for somebody, you don't want it for them, you want it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you need to make yourself feel better. And then we go into the next thought. I'm assuming would be, well, it's not nobody's job to make us feel better. We have to learn how to show up for ourselves, and how do we heal that fucking wound from the thing, you know? I think that'll be kind of like the shit. Although yes, everything is not 100%. I know what you're saying, but you're the primary you're also part of pushing that shit at the same time, right? Because you want me to fucking work on the shit and like trying to find that maternal figure, trying to do this shit and whatever, and try to, that thing of like, you know, sobándote and the shit to show up for yourself and be that stuff.
So
It's like it's not everything is black and white, you know, but that's the thing. I think at least that's how I take it. And you know, even with what Norma's reaction there, that's how it works for me. I was of that shit of like looking at, this is what it is. Okay, this makes sense. So then I'm hard on myself by looking at myself. What is the attachment? What is the need? What is the shit that I want this person to change for? Why am I in pain, or why is it bothering me? Why does this bother me? Why does this trigger me so much to that? Or just as simple as he said it fucking 15 years ago, why the fuck does life have to be has to be how you want it to be? That's a simple thing. If you remember that at any time, if I can remember that myself, or anybody could remember that when they're struggling, it just relieves you from a lot of shit. Oh, my dad is my mom, this situation, my husband, my wife, this person, my daughter, this shit is not happening. I'll be like, ¿y por qué hijos de su puta madre tiene que ser como yo quiera?
yeah,
Why does the shit have to be like I
because it
want it
makes
to
my
be?
life easier.
Right?
Because I'm
Like it's
tired.
just, yeah, exactly. Shit's gonna be, but it's just gonna be. And accepting that shit, it removes a lot of the trouble, I think.
I don't disagree with the technique at all. Like I mean I don't disagree with that. The part that was like, hold on, was when you say you have to learn how to show up for yourself and learn to deal with it by yourself. that's the part where I'm like, mm, well, do
Oh,
you though? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you?
show up for yourself, yes. Not do it by yourself. That's where the middle
Okay.
lane is,
Okay.
right? You do have to learn to show up for yourself,
Absolutely.
but you don't have to do it by yourself. So both
Absolutely.
things are true, like always. It's
Okay.
always,
All right.
it's always
Just
in the
want to
middle.
clarify that like I don't want our listeners to get the wrong idea that they need
No, no,
to
no.
learn how to deal with shit by themselves. I'm not
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
true. No, that's true. But you do
How
have to learn.
about they have to take
But you do have to
accountability for
learn.
themselves?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. In terms of taking accountability, yes. Yes,
Yes.
you and I am a big advocate for that. Like take your fucking part. Own up to your shit. I always tell my clients in any relationship there's two sides of the street. There's your side of the street, there's my side of the street. And my job as a therapist, if you're my client, is to make sure that you take accountability for your shit. Like that is your shit on your side of the street and we're going to deal with that. But if it's like, oh, my boyfriend's not doing this, my partner's not doing that, my mom's not doing this, my mom's not doing that, like, yeah, I wish I could help your mom. I wish I could help your partner, but they're not in here. Like, we need to make sure that you take accountability for your shit. So I agree with that. But that doesn't mean that it's gonna be like, well, figure it the fuck out. Bye by yourself. Like, I no,
Yeah.
that's
It's a
not the
balance.
point.
It's a balance like everything else.
Yes,
You have to work at both. Both
yes.
things are
Yes.
true.
So both
Yeah,
things
yeah.
are true.
But I
Okay.
just every time I think about this shit, I was like, oh, that's very simple. Why the fuck does it have to be how I want it to be? Then just it's and I told him when I saw him, you told me this a stupid ass long time ago, and every time when I'm feeling like shit, because everything that you're struggling with, y por qué hijos de su puta madre have to be how I want it to be? Why does it have to be like that? And
Um.
then I was gonna go into understanding yourself and looking at attachments and all that stuff and all that, you know.
Yeah. So what is something that you're currently working on right now in therapy, Julie?
If you
Um,
mind, if you
If
mind,
no,
if you don't mind sharing
I
this.
am
if you don't mind
currently
sharing.
working on for a really long time, and I've kind of vented to you guys about this, but I have a really hard time, like, putting myself first. I tend to focus on other people's needs. And I don't say that in terms of like it's bad, but like in terms of, let's say, for example, just an example, my relationship, right? I overthink, I overworry, I'm, every little change in behavior, I always find it like, oh, it's an attack on me. It's a threat to my relationship. That's bad, right? And so now I'm stressed and I'm overthinking, and it's like, my partner's like, I'm fine, we're good. Sorry, I didn't reply back. And, or even my kids, right? Like if, they're having issues at work or at school, or, my family, and they're not reaching out. Like I tend to focus too much on taking care of other people and I forget about myself. And so I've been with my therapist talking about, hey, like today was fun. Like I went and I had my workout and I wasn't worried about, did someone call me? Did someone text me? I think in terms of my relationship, because I have yes, I have an anxious attachment style. I tend to overthink, and I just put a lot of energy into places where I don't need to. And I over worry, and I think I need to learn to understand other people and how they behave and how they act, and not take that as an immediate threat to my person. Um, let's say if a friend doesn't reach out or doesn't reply back, like that doesn't mean they don't hate me, they don't dislike me, they're probably busy. They got life going on too, they got stuff going on, and that's not a reflection of their love towards me, because I tend to worry too much.
Can my therapist self jump in a little bit?
Yes, please.
It's gonna be $100 per second.
It's gonna be a $100 per minute, no tanto.
Todavía más fuera.
$100 per minute. So you're consenting to $100 per minute? Is that what we're saying? Kidding. Because I don't know what type of like therapy your therapist does, if it's just like talk therapy, cognitive, experiential, somatic, whatever. But I like one of the things, because what you're doing, I've heard it at some point, with the overthinking part is we're knitting a sweater, right? Of like somebody doesn't reply back. So with that, I start like knitting a sweater of like, they don't care about me, blah, 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 blah. So it is a part of the process. It is stopping yourself, like the part of the pasta that you were talking about, from knitting the sweater. And
Mm-hmm.
also is honoring that part that is showing up, right? Because many people want to go immediately into like, wait, this doesn't mean that they don't care about me, this doesn't mean this, like invalidating this hurt part that comes up. So I would invite you to honor that part, because that has something to do with your little self,
Yeah.
right? And then going into that little hurt self that is like, maybe they don't love me, they don't care about me, blah blah blah, like I'm too much, I'm a burden, all of these messages that come about when we are knitting that sweater. That sweater has an age for my
Mm-hmm.
younger self.
Mm-hmm.
So it is paying attention to her, looking at her, whatever age she's showing up as, and asking her, what are you needing right now? I need to
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm like loved, right? So then you present self looking at her and loving her and letting her know, I know she's not texting you back. And that makes us feel that she doesn't care about us. I get it. But I'm right here for you. Not going into explaining logically, like, oh, they're at work, they're this, they're
Yeah.
that. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the reason why they're not texting. The fact of the matter is that your inner self, your little self, is feeling some type of way. So we need to pay attention to that. And that is how healing happens. By you holding her, by you paying attention to those things, the more and more you do that, and that's a part of the accountability, right? Like showing up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the more and more we soothe that part of you, then the less and less you're going to be needing sweaters when people don't
Mm-hmm.
reply back.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten better. And I think a part of me being a mother to a child that is a reflection of me, because that is the age. That's the age where, like, every time I feel like I'm a burden or I'm too much, it's that. It's Levy's age. It's what he's going through right now. So I think a lot of times being there for him and validating him, and just like sitting with him, like, yeah, I know that sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, that must really hurt, right? To feel that way, or to, be put in that position, has given me the tools, and even like just the language to talk to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So in those moments, I'm like, hey, what's wrong? Like, what do you need right now?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you feel lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go for a walk? I know it sounds really weird, but I have these conversations with myself in the car,
Same.
No, weird.
and I
Same.
cry, or if we're happy, if we're sad, and I'm like, yeah, like I talk to myself. Sometimes
Yes.
I feel like whoever is in the car next to
Listen.
me, like, probably thinks I'm insane right now talking to myself. But that helps, because I don't think I had that space before to even give myself that. It was what you said, like, it's just pushing it to the side, or just like, oh, let's instead of knitting the sweater, let's just think about why we shouldn't knit the sweater. But it's like, no, hey, let's sit down, let's just put this to the side, let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a lot of times people are just, they don't even know how to go about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And
You're not-
I have full on conversations with
Yeah.
Normita all the time,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, me not that much, but it's something that I need to do, and something that I'm learning that it works. But it's also something that I told my client yesterday. Hug yourself, talk to yourself, give yourself that shit that you need, that hug and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you said it just to throw it out there because it make more, or not make more sense, but it's a different way to explain it. Something that Norma taught me recently. That thing of is like, well, why do you need that they need to text you back for you to feel okay? The same thing that I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if I understood it correctly, or the way that I made sense in my head, is then like, okay, Why do I need them to text me? Oh, it's because I feel whatever it might be the reason to it, right? And then what I put together in my mind right away is like, okay, boom. Well, what do I got to solve from my childhood?
Mm-hmm.
What I got to solve from my childhood that didn't show up? Is it abandonment? Is it the fear that I'm too much? Is it the fear of that stuff? So then you connect this. So it'll be like, oh shit, the reason that I want the person to text me back is because I'm actually afraid of them leaving me and being alone, like I felt when I was a child and the shit. And it's like, oh, so that's the shit that I gotta figure
Mm-hmm.
out. That's what I gotta put together. That's what that works. But like, okay, so that is the thing again of like, why do I need them to do that shit? Because there's nothing again, nothing that they're doing per se. It's just how I perceive it. And then why do I feel this shit? And then be like, okay, how does like Norma was saying, well, how do I fix that? Put it two and two together back to the childhood and show up for the child to then be like, okay, good, we're good. It's not the same. What I told my client is like, or actually other people, it's like it's not fair for you to be judging the world based on what your parents did to you
Mm-hmm.
and treating them like that. That's what I told them.
I wasn't ready for that one. I was not ready for that one.
Yeah, it's not fair for you to treat the world thinking that they're like your parents, thinking like the
Well, I think
people
it
that
goes
have
back to
that
what
hurt you.
Norma was trying to say, right? How it's like you don't have to do it alone. It's not, you don't have to do it alone, but I think in order to heal, one, accountability, but you also have to take responsibility for your own healing. You can't expect other people to fill those voids for you
Yeah,
and to
that's for
always
sure.
just like do the work for you. And I think that's maybe the biggest difference from like 5 years ago to now is like, oh, I'm not just sitting here playing the blaming game and just blaming the world and blaming this person, blaming that person. And I'm sad and I feel unworthy because of this person and because how this person talked to me. It's like, yeah, that sucks. Okay, maybe we perceived it that way, but like what Steve said, let's connect the dots, right? Like, I feel this way because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this. Okay, cool. That's the root cause of this feeling. Let's talk about it, right?
Hmm.
Let's sit in that emotion. Let's maybe understand why. Cool. All right, that happened 20 years ago, but let's journal about it. Let's talk to our inner child. Like that's I think a lot of times people just it's so much easier to just blame and to complain
Absolutely.
than to take
Absolutely.
control of like, hey, that happened 20 years ago and it sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was shitty. But we can't sit here and stay stagnant and not like move forward because that one person said that one mean thing to you and like now the whole world is like a threat.
Yes.
Just by
Yes.
just I would make an argument you will stay stagnant until you heal that part and you hug yourself.
Or life,
You
there's
stay the
a,
same, right?
a meme or something I saw on Instagram like life will keep bringing it back to you
Yeah.
until you
Life.
fucking do
Yeah.
with it.
Yes.
Right?
Life is such a good teacher that if you didn't learn the lesson next time, it'll continue to repeat it. Um,
Mhm.
and that, yes, I can attest to that. I can attest to that. Until I was like,
Exactly.
okay, I guess this is where I learn. It took a whole divorce for me to actually learn and take accountability for my shit. Who you are is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yes.
Um, and that is where like a lot of people get stuck, right? Like with the blaming game of like, well, my parents did this, well, this happened, and I was there like 2016. I was right there. I was right there. I was like, my dad, and fuck my mom because neither one of them showed up for me. And yeah, I have trauma. And I would literally tell them, like, I would be really mean to them and be like, I'm like this because of you. And because they'd be like, oh, you're like over the top, girl. I'm like, this is your fault and all of this, blah, blah. And like my relationship with them was very shitty in 2016. Um, but then I had to look at myself and be like, take responsibility for that. And when I started changing, my relationship with them also started changing. And that doesn't change the fact that some of the trauma that I have comes from shit that they did or didn't do because of whatever reason. But definitely taking that accountability, yeah, it's harder than just being like, well, you need to change because you did that. That means I don't got to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I to be here and be a dick. And putting that responsibility on other people, absolutely. It's way better than actually sitting with your shit.
Hmm. Unless you gotta set a boundary and tell them to fuck off because they continue to disrespect you and not be good to you. I
That
thought I haven't said this in the podcast, I believe, but it's funny to me. One time I was realizing like, oh, we go to therapy so that we don't tell people to fuck off, and then you go to therapy and you go full circle and they teach you to tell people to fuck off. You get me? Like you just want to be like, oh, I want to get better so I don't have shitty relationships or I don't have bad relationships and we just don't get mad at each other for no reason. And then you go full circle with a completely different meaning, but now you're taught to be like, yes, tell people to fuck off. It's completely fine. Set your boundaries, do this shit, but like the thought process and the way you do it and the meaning behind it is completely different. But I
Yeah.
thought it was funny. It's like go to therapy so you don't have bad relationships and like you don't tell people to fuck off. Cool. You went full circle. The hardest shit for you to do is gonna tell those people to fuck off now. Once you learn all the complexities of the fucking
Yeah.
issue and upbringings and all this shit.
yeah,
I thought that was funny.
absolutely. Yes.
Don't fight and don't fuck off, but fuck off eventually, please.
Go to therapy so you could tell people to fuck off.
Yeah, in the proper way.
Yeah.
To kindly tell people to fuck off.
Yes, yes, that is
Yeah.
important. Delivery is important. Oh, my mic.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we have? Anything else that you would like to share
Anything you wanna share?
um, with people if they're like, should I go to therapy? Should I address my mental health? What would you say to somebody that has no fucking idea where to start?
No idea to start. You could start by reaching out to your insurance because they always have information. If you don't have insurance, you could always look based on the county. I know here in San Mateo County, there's Star Vista. They provide, if not free, like family counseling. They have like support groups. I know they're great because I've reached out to them a lot. And they've been a great resource for me in terms of, just help and helping other family and friends. But I mean, I would start with your insurance, reaching out, hey, I'm interested in therapy. I don't know where I call or what to do, but can I get a number? I mean, it sucks. I know some places have like wait lists, right? Like it sucks, right? Um, they can always reach out and ask me. I know a lot of really good local therapists. Latinx therapy, that's another
Yes.
one. Yes, they're
Yes.
great.
Yes. Latinx
She
therapy.
has a
Yes.
website. She has a list of
A
Latinx.
directory. Mhm.
Yeah. I actually used one of the therapists there. She was great for our family therapy back during COVID. She was really good. So yeah, that's a great resource. She has a list of therapists, from I think a couple states now, right? I know back in the day it was just California. I think.
California. Mhm.
Yeah. You can reach out. I think a lot of those have what they call like the
Sliding
scale.
scale.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's good. And it's cool because, they're, Latin background. So it's cool because, I mean, it's a lot more relatable and it's easier to understand, right?
Mhm.
My therapist is a female white lady. She's really sweet though. But I think it would have made a huge difference if she was, similar background to me. But she's great. I love her. Obviously reach out to friends. I think a lot of times people have a really hard time. It's hard for them to be vulnerable. I've talked to friends that don't believe in therapy because, they say, well, why am I going to talk to a stranger about my problems? That doesn't make sense to them, but it's like, well, it actually does make sense because you're not going to get shame or a biased view. They're going to validate you and they just know how to deal with those kind of situations. But I think there shouldn't be a stigma around therapy. I think it's time. I think our generation is breaking that stigma. So
Yeah.
Yes.
we're all about being
Yes.
vulnerable.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that friend, well, why? Let's dig a little bit. Why do you think people are not gonna be there for you, and why do you think it's not okay to talk to people? Is it
Yeah.
because your parents and your upbringing and all this shit happened to you that you don't trust people to do anything good with your feelings and emotions? Yes, that's what it is. Bitch, go to therapy. That's the reason
You
why.
should make
Just be like, let me
shirts
give you a
if you guys
fucking
do
little
friendship.
feedback
We
here.
need shirts.
Yeah, bitch, go to therapy.
And Bendita la ciencia, right?
All
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
we got our t-shirts.
Oh yeah, we do have that. Well, anyway. Anything else?
Go to therapy. You can also
Go
reach
there.
out to Norma. Norma's a
Yeah,
therapist that does
she's a
therapy.
therapist.
She can't ask for reviews, but I can tell you from what I've heard and from what I know, and just from being friends, the amazing shit that she does and makes you think and challenge you and does it in a loving way and all that shit.
I
So reach
tried.
out to her. Reach out to her too. I don't go through the insurances, all that shit can go fuck itself. I just go directly to her or anybody else that I know personally because I
Yeah.
know how much they fucked me up in having me wait fucking a month and a half to
Mhm.
go to my first session when I was all fucked up already and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yes.
believe in that stuff.
Yeah.
I believe in
Yeah. Reach out. Reach out. I definitely do offer sliding scale as well. So yes, I'm a heart therapist, but I'm nice.
hmm yeah, and I'm still learning. So same thing. I already told you fuckers, if you know me in person and you need some help, reach out to me so we can cry together. I already told
Yes.
you. All
Thank you
right.
so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
you,
you
for
guys.
for being
You
being
forgot
here.
the freaking. Go for it.
Oh yes, mindfulpodcastliving@gmail.com. Give us your feedback. Tell us if you want to be a guest, if you have any um, topics that you want us to touch on. Let us know. We are
What we
here.
need to improve on.
We'll see you.
What we need to improve on as well, because if we get our feeling hurt, then we need to figure out where our feelings are hurt and all that shit about
Shut
feedback.
up, Steve. Yeah, that was
Everything
hurtful
goes through the
comment from
same
me.
shit. You see how it's hard? It's hard for normal right now. But all right, everybody. Peace, peace, peace. Bye, 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 bye. Don't leave.
Bye.
Don't leave, Julie. Don't leave. Bye.
Don't leave.